As much of the developing world cries out for coronavirus vaccines, the United States is destroying some of its stock. At the heart of the problem is vaccine maker Johnson & Johnson. Its vaccine was the third to be approved in the U.S. and has played a lesser role in the country's rollout compared to those of Moderna and Pfizer. Millions of doses were held up in April over safety concerns, which severely cut into their limited shelf life. With demand dwindling in the U.S., officials warned this week that millions of Johnson & Johnson shots would expire before the end of this month, which means they may need to be binned. Meanwhile, on Thursday, they said the company must throw away millions of jabs that were manufactured at a problem-plagued Baltimore factory over quality issues.
The manufacturing of a vaccine is a really specific process, and any vaccine that is offered to you has passed hundreds, maybe thousands of quality control checks. And those lots or those doses didn't pass, and they didn't have the full confidence of the FDA, and so they'll be destroyed.
Meanwhile, a record number of people who can get a vaccine in their home country are traveling to the United States to get inoculated. Officials believe this trend will continue. Among those traveling are people from as far as Paraguay. In April, the migration offices began to see an increase of Paraguayans traveling abroad. There were some 2,600 travelers that month, and in May, the figure nearly tripled to 7,000.
Because I don't have hope to obtain a vaccine in my country.
Right now, I think it's cheaper to go get vaccinated than to spend more than 5 days in the hospital.
Wealthy countries, including the U.S., have been able to acquire the largest supplies of vaccines, but they're also being criticized for not doing more to help the world's poorer countries. The World Health Organization says nearly 90%, that's 47 out of 54 African countries, could miss a summer target of vaccinating 10% of their population against the coronavirus, even as they grapple with surging infections.
6 months since the first vaccines were administered, high-income countries have administered almost 44% of the world's doses. Low-income countries have administered just 0.4%. The most frustrating thing about this statistic is that it hasn't changed in months. Inequitable vaccination is a threat to all nations, not just those with the fewest vaccines.
The WHO chief said the vaccine inequality issue has created a two-track pandemic, with Western countries protected and poorer nations still exposed. He also warned that despite a global decrease in the number of cases, Africa, the Americas, and the Western Pacific are still seeing an increase in the number of deaths. The efficient distribution and use of vaccines is now considered to be more urgent than ever.